In a previous video, I gone over the basics of each class and what they specialize in. Well, that's all well and good, but knowing what you can do is part of the battle. The Heretics has a battle-hardened regiment, countless weapons, and knowledge of the Hive City on their side. To drive back the Darktide, we need to know every tool in our disposal. So in this video, I will be going over the general stub guns that the human classes can get their hands on. Now, before I begin, I would like to address some of the more general facts pertaining to all weapons. 1. Majority of the weapons comes in 3 variations: light, medium, and heavy. Each versions will have slightly different characteristics. The light version will have faster firing rate and more ammo capacity, with weak damage and range being the trade-off. The heavy version will be the heavy hitters, but packs a smaller ammo capacity and have a slower firing rate overall. The medium version, as you can guess, is the compromise. They are good in every aspect, but excel at none. The middle child, the jack of all trades, you get the idea. Many builds will recommend you to get a certain weapon with certain blessings and characteristics, but I'll say this, play with whatever you want. As long as you contribute to the fight and get your butt on that Valkyrie at the end of the mission, you're doing good. 2. Every gun type has a distant damage modifier. Depending on the weapon type, your weapon will deal a certain amount of damage at a certain distance. In the case of stub guns, the further you are from the target, the less damage you'll inflict. Each weapon has their own distance damage modifier parameters, but their principles are the same. The modifier won't turn your shot into something harmless outside of a certain distance, but it will mean the difference between killing something in 1 shot versus killing them in 2, so keep that in mind. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's start with the small ones, shall we? An oldie in the 41st millennium and a staple of first-person shooters, the Revolver is, as you can guess, the magnum of Darktide. Depending on which class you're playing, this gun becomes available at different levels, but regardless of class, this gun is the favorite child of many players and builds due to its damage, small size, and ease of use. As for the time of this recording, there are 2 variations of this gun, the Zerona and the Agrippina, both wildly different in their operation and capabilities, but regardless of that, this gun is a fun weapon to use. Damage and ease of use aside, there's something poetic about going up against an entire regiment of hardened traitors with a revolver and winning. The special action for this weapon is a solid pistol whip, a move that can knock bulwarks around and force them to expose their unprotected sides for a clean shot. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the details. Despite being the medium version of Darktide's Revolver, this gun is truly the best sidearm you can have in the Underhive. Its punch, combined with its ease of use, have cemented itself in many melee players' hearts. 1 shot is all you need to put down most human targets, while Ogrins might need 2 to 3 shots if you aim for the head. Despite being a stub revolver, it can penetrate targets like nobody's business. The secondary action has you aim down its iron sights, making sure your shot arrives at its intended target. A good trick I like to do is to set up your shot so that it goes through multiple targets, thus scoring multi-kills. Universally memed as the "you ye your last haw" gun, the Agrippina is introduced in the Trader's Curse Part 2 with 2 major differences. The first is that the gun reloads using a speed loader, unlike the Zerona, which you have to enter 1 round at a time. The second is that the secondary action has you fan the hammer instead of aiming down the sights. These features makes the Agrippina a real shredder in close combat, plus a fun gun to use all around. However, there are 2 glaring issues with this gun. Unlike the Zerona, this gun has no penetration at all. If you shoot into a horde, it will stop at the first poxwalker it hits. The second issue is that the fanning the hammer, while upping the firing rate, thus the damage you can inflict, it makes sniping far away targets difficult. Nothing a bit of practice won't solve, but keep that in mind when you decide to pick one up and rush to the mission terminal. Onto the second smallest stub gun, we have the Shredder autopistol. This movie prop looking thing boasts a high firing rate and high stagger rate. A single round from this gun, assuming the right stats are high enough, can knock a human target flat on the ground. Combine that with its small frame, it's a beloved gun for those who likes to get in close at Mach speed. Now, despite the stellar performance against human enemies, it does have two weaknesses, accuracy and carapace. The secondary action has you brace the gun, cutting majority of the recoil and allowing you to mow down anything in front of you with ease. While this is perfect for hordes, it leaves you vulnerable to snipers and other long-range shooters hiding behind covers. Plus, being essentially a submachine gun using pistol rounds, this thing barely tickles an Autogun Crusher even if you unload a full mag into its head. So if you're packing this gun, make sure you have some way to deal with Ogrins and snipers, melee or a good teammate. Finally, we are bringing out the big guns. The first long gun you can get in Darktide, the Infantry Autogun, IAG for short, is the most versatile and user-friendly weapon you will get your hands on in this game. If you had played any FPS before, the controls will be instinctual for you. This eliminates the learning curve that comes with a lot of other weapons. Depending on variant, it can be a long-range hard hitter in the form of the Agrippina, a close-range bullet hose in the form of the Columnus, or a versatile all-rounder in the case of the Graya. All IAG has the same secondary action, aiming down the sights, allowing you to put rounds downrange with great accuracy for those far-away enemies. The special action has you turn on a flashlight attached to the gun, great for those low-light missions. However, be warned, the flashlight will trigger demon hosts if you shine it on them, so best keep them off. Now, for the weak points. Despite firing rifle rounds, the gun has, at best, mediocre stagger. If you spot something like a Rager, best shoot them from a distance since they can close in without being slowed at all. Secondly, when compared with other dedicated anti-horde weapons, the IAG feels a tad underpowered. Plus, against carapace it barely tickles them. Like I said, this gun is a jack of all trades, master of none. If you want versatility, you won't go wrong with an IAG.
Train in the region.
Do you like Daka? Do you love the sound of a rapid-firing gun going off next to your ear? Do you believe that the God Emperor will guide your rounds towards the Heretic skull? If you say yes to all three, then the Brace Autogun is for you. Mechanic-wise, the Brace Autogun, BAG for short, is an upgraded version of the Shredder Autopistol. The secondary action has you brace the gun against your body, making you slower but more accurate than normal. But there is a catch. When braced, the gun's vertical spread is nearly zeroed, but the horizontal spread nearly doubles. This means when you brace fire the gun, the rounds will spray randomly horizontally. The longer you hold the trigger, the bigger the spread. To put it simply, the gun has the autopistol's mechanics whilst using autogun rounds, making this a clear upgrade in damage, range, and penetration when compared with the Shredder autopistol. The special action for all variants is a good solid whack with your gun, just perfect when you run out of ammo in the midst of a horde. The downside to this gun is that the secondary action isn't ADS, isn't aiming down the sights, meaning you won't be accurate with it over long distances. It's possible, but difficult. Secondly, despite the gun's intended role, the magazine capacity and your ammo reserves will dry up pretty quickly if you just shoot willy-nilly. There are two common tricks with this weapon type. The first is to tap fire it. The accuracy of these guns is actually pinpoint accurate on the first shot. So if you can get the center dot on an enemy, you can snipe them like you would with an IAG. The second trick is to not brace the gun. this gun has great suppression stats. When you shoot at an enemy, you'll notice they might flail around in panic for a second before reacting to you, returning fire and the like. By hip firing this gun and walking up to them, you can suppress and get close at the same time, getting close enough to hit them or to melee them. While Hive cities are known for their claustrophobic and maze-like environment, Hive gangers will tell you that there's also plenty of spots for sniping your enemy, with none of them being the wiser. Luckily, the Inquisition has just the weapon for that occasion, the Headhunter autogun. As per standard, this weapon comes in 3 variants: a semi-auto sniping rifle in the form of the Vrax Mark 7, a mid-range all-rounder like the Agrippina Mark 9 with its 2-shot burst, and lastly a mid to close range 3-shot burst special in the form of the Vrax Mark 3. But regardless of variants, the purpose of this gun is clear: taking out enemies from afar, usually those that will pose a greater threat to the team than poxwalkers or groaners. If the name hasn't clued you in, you have to consistently score headshots with this weapon type to bring out its full potential. While body shots are nice, it won't be ammo efficient to do that against every enemy you see. The special action is again a good old solid whack with your gun. Good if you need to space, but hopefully you won't need it. Now, the downsides. The limited firing rate makes this a poor gun to use against a horde at close range. Secondly, with the lowest ammo pool compared with other autoguns, you'll be a ammo hog if you constantly shoot anything and everything under the Hive. Knowing which to shoot first is key with this weapon type. So if you're packing this, make sure to choose a good crowd control melee weapon, you will need it. A small side note, if you are level 30, I wholeheartedly suggest you to get the Executioner Stance ability if you like to run with this weapon type. The damage combined with the Relentless ability modifier will turn the game into a shooting gallery. It's nice to know that even in the advanced future of the 41st millennium, nothing stops a charging horde better than a 12-gauge shell to the face. While we as gamers are ingrained with the idea that the shotgun is a close-range weapon for those point-blank idiots, in Darktide this weapon class functions ridiculously well even in long ranges. How good is it, you ask? With good range, stagger, and damage, this weapon type is pretty much an upgrade of the Revolver, only it holds more than 5 shots. Unlike other games, the shotgun's damage in Darktide is counted by pellets. The more pellets hit a target, the more damage it takes. But regardless of hits, it will kill just about anything you point at, assuming you have the ammo. Now, the special action for shotguns is where the magic's at. Instead of turning on flashlights or bashing something with your weapon, you insert a single special shell into your gun. What said shell does is dependent on which shotgun you're using, but believe me, all 3 of them is a big boon for you and your team regardless of circumstances. All in all, the shotgun is good regardless of playstyle, with the secondary action being aiming down the sights for mid to long range foes, hip firing while Heretics is right in your face, and special shells for situations that are going south. The only downside with using the shotgun is the long reloads and the low ammo reserves. Having a tubular magazine like the shotguns of old, you're forced to load 1 shell at a time like the Zerona. While this isn't an issue during the more peaceful periods, I won't recommend doing that when a horde is near you. I guess the Imperium lost the SDC for a speed loader. Oh well, typical. The second downside is the ammo reserves. Even with the veteran's fully loaded passive skill, your ammo reserves won't go past double digits. Thus, you need to make every shot count if you carry this weapon type. Okay, with the general info out of the way, let's get into the details. The first shotgun you'll unlock regardless of class, the Lawbringer, is a close-range horde mower. Used by the Adeptus Mechanicus, this gun specializes in dealing with hordes of unwashed peasants and lightly armored heretics. The special shell for this gun is a horde clearer. Upon equipping it, your horizontal spread widens and your stagger goes through the roof. Anything you hit will be flat on the ground, if not dead, opening them to a double tap or other attacks. A good trick is to load a special shell and aim head height. This will render most hordes irrelevant. Be careful though, as the special shell deals next to no damage to carapace armored enemies, so be sure to have a plan B for Scab Ragers, Crusher Ogrins, and Bulwarks. Considered as the most versatile shotgun in Darktide, this gun has a tighter spread and lower damage when compared with other shotguns. However, the special shell for this is a solid slug with high stagger, turning your shotgun into a pinpoint accurate sniper rifle. The shell is strong enough to knock Crusher Ogrins off their feet and stun bulwarks so that you can shoot them in the head. Despite being a shotgun, the tight pellet spread makes this more of a long-range weapon. It can be used in close range, but you won't be hitting a lot up close. Two advices I can give is to pack a crowd control weapon and to keep the special shell loaded at all times. Range is your friend when you are packing this gun. The best shotgun damage-wise, the Cantrail is what you want when you need to put something down in one shot. With the lowest magazine capacity and the widest spread, this is the gun if you like to get up close and personal. The special shell for this shotgun is a Dragon's Breath shell, an incendiary shell that penetrates everything including bulwark shields and sets anything it hits on fire. In a sense, this gun is geared towards armored enemies like the Raiders, Maulers, Crushers, and Bulwarks. The special shell can deal with most armor types, while the standard shell clears out cannon foders. With that being said, this gun isn't without its faults. The special shell burn rate isn't high, so specialists won't drop dead after a few seconds of being on fire, and you really need to spam it to bring the most out of this gun. Next, being the heaviest hitter of the shotgun tree, its ammo capacity and reserve is the lowest. If you rely on it too much, you'll be vacuuming ammo left and right, denying your teammates should they need it more. Okay, now that you know your tools, here comes the ultimate question. Why do you want to use these ancient crap? I mean, you're in the 41st millennium. There's laser rifles that never jams, plasma guns that hurl suns at people, staffs that electrocute people to death. Surely there's going to be something else that is more efficient than these things, right? Well, I can list 3 good reasons for you. 1. Versatility. All the other ranged weapons a human class can wield, whilst powerful, is specialized for one thing: laser guns for long-range combat, plasma for anti-carapace, flamer for close-range hordes, etc, etc. No other weapon has the versatility offered by stub guns. Need something for hordes? IAG, BAG, shotguns, and shredders. Take your pick. Want to delete armor? Revolvers and shotguns. Need pinpoint accuracy? Headhunters, IAG, revolvers, and shotguns is here to answer your prayers. With a stub gun in hand, you can be sure that you can deal with half of what Atoma, the Mobian 6, and the Cult of Admonition can throw at you. 2. Rate of fire. If you haven't noticed, most of the other weapon types doesn't have the rate of fire a stub gun has. Only one variant of las gun can match stub guns in terms of rate of fire, and even then the damage leaves many to be desired. When dealing with an unending sea of filthy heretics, the ability to put them down quickly is a boon that stub guns provide readily with its balance of fire rate and damage. 3. Ease of use. With other ranged weapons such as the las gun or the plasma gun, ammo usage is calculated differently. This means that the number showing your ammo capacity isn't accurate. 64 here doesn't mean you have 64 shots. You won't have to worry about that with stub guns. One shot means one round. If you have any prior experience with other FPS games, Using a stub gun is pretty much muscle memory from the get-go. All in all, the stub guns may not be the iconic weapon of the 41st millennium, but being their cheaper and proven predecessors, there's still a place in this war-ridden galaxy yet for these old reliable slug throwers. And on Atoma, we don't care how the heretic dies, only that they do. Besides, being expendable troopers, we don't really have a choice in the matter. Hopefully you enjoyed this little video, and I hope to see you after your next run on Atoma. Take care.